Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today we are wrapping up my reading for the month of June. Please excuse my slightly gravelly voice today. I'm just getting over having a cold. I'm fine, everything's okay. Just still a little scratchy in the voice, but otherwise feeling good. Okay, I read 4 books in the month of June, so let's talk about them. The first book that I finished was a manga, and it is Witch Hat Atelier Volume 1 by Kamome Shirahama. This I really enjoyed. So I initially picked up a copy of this when I was trawling secondhand while I was in Melbourne a few months ago now, and the edition that I had picked up was damaged, which I didn't realize at the time of buying it. It's okay, I only spent a couple of dollars on it, but subsequently I had started to read it before I realized that it was damaged beyond being able to be completely read. So I picked up another copy at my local bookstore and finished reading it in June. I loved it. I am excited to continue the series, and in an upcoming haul, not the next one that you're going to see, but for this month, for July, when I'm recording this, I have now picked up the second one, so I will definitely be continuing on with this series. We follow the main character, whose name is Coco. She's a young girl, and in this world, magic is something, there are witches, but you are born a witch. That's sort of the understanding that everybody has of witchcraft in this world. And she has always been really intrigued by magic, and we later discover there's been a little bit of mysterious interference in her life. Gosh, that sounds awful. There has been interest in her from the magical world, which we sort of, more on that kind of gets revealed, although I will say it doesn't get completely resolved, I would say, by the end of this volume. However, she has always been really intrigued by magic and, you know, wishes that she could be a witch, but she understands that that's something that is not something in her future. So her mother is a textile worker of some description, maybe selling, or I'm not sure. I can't recall if we find that out. But she is involved in that business as well, and she has real skill apparently with her cuts and her, working with the textiles. Enter Kifrey. Maybe Kifrey. It's spelt Qifrey. If anyone has any information on how I should be pronouncing that, please let me know down in the comments. But he is a witch, a master witch, in fact, and he runs a magic school. And he comes into town and buys some fabric, I think, from from her mother's shop, and events ensue. Coco ends up seeing that magic actually is not as kind of like mysterious as it appears to most people, as the kind of it seems to be. And she starts messing about, and then she accidentally does something that basically puts her mother in a very uncertain, dangerous kind of condition. And she then ends up going to Master because he feels somewhat responsible. So he takes her in to his magic school, and from there she starts to learn, although all of the other kids that are at this school have been learning since they were like toddlers, so she's really behind But she's got to kind of find her own place and her own way with magic. And I enjoyed this so much. Definitely going to continue on. Great characters, loved it. Very excited to have that now in my life. And also the illustrations, I should say before I move on, are absolutely are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. So yeah, very enjoyable to read. Okay, that was book number 1. I gave it 4 stars. I'm excited to continue on with volume 2. The next book that I finished in June was Séance Tea Party. This is a graphic novel, and it's by Reimena. This is, I would say, middle grade. So it deals with the that kind of transition from, well, in America it would be from like your junior school years through to junior high, sort of before you go on to like high school. We don't have that same system in Australia, but I'm familiar with it from American media. But yeah, so it's quite fast-paced, I would say, this book. Basically, we've got a character who is kind of coming to terms with who she is as a person, and she's watching her friends kind of start to experiment with being a bit more grown up, and she's just that's not her. She's not really all that interested in being, too cool for school. She kind of still wants to muck about a little bit and continue to be interested in the stuff she was interested in when she was younger as well. And so that's sort of the context. But then what happens is she has she does a little cheeky seance, and a ghost of a girl who's about her age turns up. And they kind of become besties. That's the premise. To me, this was a little bit too fast-paced. Like, it kind of goes through things a little bit too quickly. But I feel like it would work well for its target demographic, which is not me. I am not a middle schooler. The themes it explored include, I'm just looking at my notes, coming into yourself as you move into being a teenager, finding your place, friendship, and emotions. So yeah, I think it does those things well enough. It's reflective, there's a moral. But yeah, for me, it was a little bit fast-paced, but I still gave it 3.5 stars. And I think if I were a young person, I would probably enjoy this quite a lot. Okay, the next book that I read. This was a follow-up to a book that I had read maybe last year or the year before. And that book that I had already read is called The Benevolent Society of Ill-Mannered Ladies by Alison Goodman. This is the second book in that series, called The Lady's Road Guide to Utter Ruin, also by Alison Goodman. I absolutely loved this. So it's a romp. And basically we pick up where we left off in the first book. This is definitely a book you have to have read the first one of to fully comprehend what's going on. And given the amount of time that had lapsed between me reading the first one and then this one, I would say I had forgotten a lot of things, and I'm like reading things and being like, who is she talking about? Like, some of the side characters are a little bit blurry for me. Like, I remembered the two sisters. They're twins. They're in their early 40s. They are unmarried. It's Georgian England. So obviously being unmarried, an unmarried woman at 42 is like a big no-no in that society. But they are also a relatively wealthy family, so they're privileged. Essentially they start to use their good fortune and skills and wealth and interest to start helping some people in a kind of way. I don't want to give too much away. In the first book, they kind of stumble into it, and now they're kind of doing it a bit more on purpose, of like helping people, but they're like, it's almost like they're living double lives. So they're doing these kind of daring exploits in disguise and so on, and then continuing to like attend social events as ladies. Anyway, this was great. It was a real romp. I don't want to give too much away about the plot here because there would definitely be spoilers for the first book. But I loved returning to their world, and I think, personally, I think this adventure was even better than the first one, although I really enjoyed the first one a lot. It was kind of more in, like, there were 3 separate adventures, basically, but within the one book in the first one. So this is, like, much more of a cohesive adventure in this book, where they're kind of just doing one big thing, although there are a couple of little intrigues as part of that. But yeah, I don't know, there's just something about spinster twins in the Regency era. I don't know, it's great. And yeah, I'm just looking at my notes. I've written here, it's definitely not a standalone novel. Lots of references to the events of the first book. So maybe the reason I've given it 4.5 stars. So the reason it's not a 5-star for me is probably because maybe not quite enough was done to remind me about book 1. Like in terms of the recap, like there was a bit of it, but it wasn't as much of an orientation as I needed, or a reorientation, I should say. Otherwise, this was like a real page turner, and I read it within a really short period of time because I enjoyed it so much. It was great. 4.5 stars. Okay, the last book that I read in the month of June is a big coffee table book. It's Joni Mitchell, by Joni Mitchell, and it's called Morning Glory on the Vine, Early Songs and Drawings. Joni Mitchell is a musician, probably best known for her work in the like 60s and 70s. She started out as a folk singer and moved more into a kind of like around the edge of the popular movements at the time in music. But always kind of very reflective kind of songwriting, etc. So this, what I didn't realise when I bought this, because I bought this some time ago when it first came out, which I think was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can find that information. 2019, sorry. Okay. But what it is it says it's in the early 70s, so in 1971... for Christmas, Joni Mitchell put together this, essentially what this book is, as like, she had it kind of somewhat professionally put together, I guess, to give as gifts to her friends and family. And it's a collection of her poetry, song lyrics, and also some artworks that she had done around the time, including some artworks of people that you may have heard of. So for example, Neil Young, there's a list at the back of who all of the, so Graham Nash, who was her partner for a time, James Taylor, David Crosby, who else? She did one of Georgia O'Keeffe, Neil Young, and a bunch of people who I haven't heard of. So yeah, there's a few interesting, and then of course there's a self-portrait in there as well. So like this is an interesting kind of artifact of its time, I guess. But I'm not sure that that's what I didn't realise that's what it was when I got it. So this is less polished, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, than possibly I would have liked. I liked seeing things in her handwriting. It was jarring for me to see, like, spelling errors for example. Interesting to see where like lyrics had changed to like what they ended up being on the albums. So like, because I was familiar with a lot of them, there were a couple of things in there that I wasn't familiar with, which maybe were songs that didn't end up making it onto albums, or, you know, poems that didn't end up being made into songs. So that was it was interesting as an artifact, I guess, but it wasn't the reading experience or like the viewing experience that I was kind of hoping it might be. So this was a little bit disappointing to me. I did end up giving it 3.75 stars. I still think it was good. It just was not, I guess, what I was anticipating it would be, I guess. But I love Joni Mitchell, and I will literally, anything that her name is on, I will basically purchase. So, yeah, it was slightly disappointing. But I've got other books in my collection, including some more like coffee table style books, but also non-fiction books written by her. I've got one that's like an interview with her, by Malcolm Marom, and then I've got a book that sort of just is about her touring, I think. Anyway, I've got a lot of other Joni Mitchell content in my library, so it's unfortunate that this wasn't what I was hoping it would be, but I'm okay with it. Like, I've got more. Okay, that's it. That is what I read in the month of June. So I would say I'm going to overall call this a successful reading month, because I had a 4-star, a 3.5 star, a 4.5 star, a 3.75 star. So nothing under 3, which I count as being successful. It was enjoyable reading for the most part, if not entirely what I was expecting. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next